Deutsche Bank has just dropped Donald Trump. This is the biggest lender in the world. They say from here on out, he cannot do business with Deutsche Bank. Why? Why? Twitter has suspended 70,000 QAnon accounts. I don't believe this is just QAnon. I think this is anybody who had any QAnon people that were posting even and responding. There is new algorithms that Google is now using. And please don't. I get so much mail from people who are like, is this true? Is this true? I mean, my sisters on both sides of the family, it's an honest question. They don't know what's true anymore. Please verify everything before you retweet it. Remember, I have begged you in the past to keep your honor and your integrity because it's going to be a very valued commodity. It will be worth your weight in gold or in Bitcoin. And I know that Bitcoin doesn't actually weigh anything, but you need your credibility. So please don't retweet stuff and go like, I don't know, is this true? Don't spread that. Facebook yesterday had censored Ron Paul. He says he's been blocked from using his Facebook page for unspecified violations of community standards. He again doesn't know why. He said, with no explanation other than repeatedly going against our community standards, Facebook has blocked me from managing my page. We've never received a notice of violating community standards in the past, and nowhere is the offending post identified. If this is true, this is Facebook picking a fight. This is Facebook wanting the powerful senator from Kentucky to stand against Facebook. They want regulation because they win in regulation. They want the government to regulate. Why else would you pick a fight with Ron Paul when Rand Paul is in the Senate? That's the dumbest thing unless you have other ideas. New York Bar Association has launched an inquiry into the removal of Rudy Giuliani from the New York bar. New York is completely lost. Move to New Jersey from New York, and it's like you're moving from China to America. And believe me, moving from New Jersey to Texas is China to America. That's how bad and off the rails New York is. Chapman University is now facing pressure to fire the professor John Eastman, who spoke up at the pro-Trump rally before the Capitol breach. Now, this is really taking, I have to hand it to them, those on the left. I don't even know where Chapman University is. I've never even heard of Chapman University. Have you heard of Chapman University?
I have not, no.
Okay, so just to protest and to boycott Chapman, you're really having to do a few Google searches. I don't think you get that on the first try. You're like, no. Not chapstick, Chapman University. Okay, I'm trying. Check page 412. Now, I just want to remind the audience, do you remember the guy in Denver that was at one of the universities in Denver? And he was preaching about how America is so horrible. This is right after 9/11. Do you remember this guy? Long hair. I can't even remember what his name was. But he was, saying the Native Americans need all of the land back. And he was just a despicable human being. Despicable. We didn't fire him. But you can't have any dissent now. Stripe. Most people don't know what Stripe is, but Stripe is extraordinarily important. Stripe is a processing system that if you are doing any kind of business online and it takes a credit card, it's usually done by Stripe or a couple of other companies. And if you don't have Stripe, you can't process anything online. Stripe is no longer processing payments for President Trump's campaign website or any of his, T-shirt sales or anything else. That's wonderful. Shopify has taken down all Trump organization and Trump campaign stores offline. So Shopify, you can't process your credit card. And you can't even find the website, or you can find the website, but they don't have anything for sale now because Shopify is also another, if you will, plug-in, if you will, that people use to sell stuff. So you got that going for you. The ABC News political director said, I don't want to quote him here. Trump will be the ex-president in 13 days. The fact is that getting rid of Trump is the easiest part. Quoting, cleansing the movement, he commands, is going to be something else. Oh, I love it when we talk about cleansing movements. Nothing ever bad happens like when you use the word cleansing.
I can't remember any. It seems like it's always worked out really well.
Apparently, we've all forgotten. We've all forgotten things that we said. Hey, let's not forget this. We've all forgotten those things. It's weird.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's a soap thing. I'm really fuzzy on it. But the word cleansing. Oh, and by the way, he knew that was bad. He deleted that tweet. So we got that going for us. But he still has his job. Don't worry. And he will forever. Don't worry. They would never fire the political director of ABC saying, we just need a good cleansing. Hey, all of you people, get into this shower over here.
They'll read into every Republican's comments to say that they were inciting riots. But, people tweeting about cleansing movements, there will be no repercussions for that whatsoever.
Yeah. Okay, so the president, I told you, just declared a national emergency because of what they say is coming. I think there are many things that I believe that I shall never say, but I shall never say the things that I do not believe. Okay, so there is this event next week, and they're calling for armed insurrection in all of the state capitals and in Washington, D.C. Don't do it, but he declared a national emergency because of that. CNN, their senior media reporter, is demanding the targeting of conservative media outlets who have ignored their anti-Trump bias in reporting on the president and his administration. Oliver frickin' Darcy demanded conservative news sources be held accountable, suggesting that they must be squelched. An expansion of the so-called cancel culture. TV providers that beam OAN and Newsmax into homes or Rush Limbaugh, there are a lot of people profiting off of lies and conspiracy theories. But Oliver works for free. You've heard of Oliver. I'd like more, please. He's a poor little orphan. He just went to CNN because, nobody would hire me. Oh, I'd like more, please. And Brian Stelter said, I'll give you a ladle full of slop, me boy. There it is. And little poor Darcy says, oh, please, all these people are making profits. And I and CNN are not looking for profit at all. He said this informational environment must be cleaned up. Cleaned up? Maybe cleansed? You're on the wrong side, Oliver. Wake up, dude. Facebook now has their preparations for Inauguration Day. Facebook said, we began preparing for Inauguration Day last year. Oh, I'll bet you did. But our planning took on new urgency after last week's violence in D.C., and we're treating the next 2 weeks as a major civic event. I think that's what the inauguration always is. Facebook is a quote major civic event. We're taking the additional steps and using the same teams and technologies we used during the general election to stop misinformation and content that could incite further violence during these next few weeks. You know what I love about Facebook is they're so smart. They are so smart. Dummies like me think that if you silence and call half of the country idiots, morons, deplorables, racists, revolutionaries that just want to overthrow the government. If you do that for a long period of time, and then when they finally say, hey, I'm not that, then you silence everyone. See, I would think that would make things worse, but Facebook, they have AI helping them, so they know better than I do. Gosh, I'm glad they're in control of things. We're now removing content containing the phrase "stop the steal" under our coordinating harm policy from Facebook and Instagram. We removed the original Stop the Steal group in November and have continued to remove pages, groups, and events that violate any of our policies, including calls for violence. Strangely, not Antifa. Strangely. Maybe they haven't gotten to the A's. Maybe it starts with the A's, so... Well, they're just smarter than us. They have a different alphabet. They're starting up with the S's, stop the steal. And A must come after that in the alphabet. I'm not sure. Now, New York State troopers say they're not going to watch the streets of New York. That's not what they do. They are not going to replace the cops on the streets of New York. Oh, well, that's not going to cause any problems. And you know what? I support you, New York State troopers. That's not your job. You're going to be asked to go in and do things that you have to do and you know are right to keep the peace, but they will tie your hands, and the first person that tries to beat you to death, if they're not a Trump supporter, nobody's going to say a damn word about it. I support you, state troopers, but I warn you, this is going to make things worse. It's almost as if this has been designed to be bad, right? Of course it's not. An Idaho internet company has blocked Facebook and Twitter over censorship. So they censored because they're a private company and they can censor and say who is on their platform and who is not. So this internet company said, yeah, well, we're a private company and we disagree with Facebook and Twitter, so we're blocking them on our service. Guess what Facebook and Twitter are doing? They're suing the internet company up in Idaho because they say they don't have a right to say who could be on their platform and who can't. Even though they're a private company, they can't do that. Oh, really? Boy, I would hate it if any internet providers would join this Idaho company and do exactly the same to Facebook or Twitter, because I'd just be so curious to see how this would work out in the Supreme Court. Good chance it doesn't work out in our favor. Who would have thunk that? But why? Why wouldn't it work out in our favor? They can block people because they don't like what they're doing, and they can do it because they're a private company. But this internet provider, they say no. And you know what Facebook says is that's why we need net neutrality.